Order. Members in attendance for the planning board is Joe Zagrodnik, Jim Maximowski, William Dwyer, Mark Dunn, Mike Sarzinski. This meeting is being recorded. And I guess first up is we should reorganize the board. Open nominations.
Nominate the present slate that is in the position now.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussions? Hearing none.
So that would be Chairman James Maximowski and Clerk William E. Dwyer.
Correct.
And with the appropriate delegates. should-
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah. We do it all in one motion?
why don't we do two motions?
Okay.
Okay,
We have a motion and a second for the slate of officers. Roll call vote, Mr.
Dwyer.
First.
Who seconded
Sorry,
it?
Mr. Dunn first.
I did, Bill.
Okay,
Mark Dunn, aye.
Alphabetically,
Alphabetical, yeah.
Bill Dwyer,
Bill Dwyer, aye.
Jim Maximowski, aye.
Michael Sarzinski, aye.
Joe Zagradnik, aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next up for the appointed board members to other committees.
So at the moment, we seem to have three. Appointment to the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, to the Community Preservation Act Committee, and to the Economic Development and Housing Committee. Are there any others that are because of ad hoc, I'll say?
Yeah, well, I mean, is Mark Dunn being on and Mike Sardinsky being on that special committee? Is that an appointed by us or that's like a
the
special?
Smart Growth.
That's special, and we've done that appointment, so
Okay.
Okay.
So just the three members to the three boards.
so I'll appoint Dwyer to PVPC, Dunn to CPA, and Dwyer to Housing and Economic Development.
Second,
Motion and second. Any discussions? Hearing none. Mr. Dunn?
Mark Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Jim Maximowski, aye.
Mike Sarzinski, aye.
Joe Zagradnik, aye.
Motion is unanimous and passes. Very good. Back to normal business. First up for general information, Mr. Dwyer.
First up is Emily Lampert.
Hello, yes. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. I'm the architect for the Skinny Pancake Project at 379 Russell Street. And myself and Amy Mason, who's here representing the signage design team, have 4 general points to bring ahead to you. I did send in a number of files to Bill on Friday. If that's okay, I can share my screen and show them as I present.
Yeah, please do. I'm having trouble accessing my
That's quite,
official name.
that's all right. It looks like somebody may have to give me permission to share.
Just did.
We can't see you either, Emily.
Oh, sorry, just a minute. There we are, and let me also turn my video. Hello.
No.
So the first point to bring up is we are looking to enlarge the previously approved cooler at the rear of the building. We are not proposing any changes to the parking layout or the amount of square footage of parking. There was previously a planter area here, and we would like to incorporate that into the cooler. It makes the cooler about 30 square feet larger. Also at the patio area, there used to be a small planter here, but we would like to incorporate that for space for a trash bin at the outside patio.
Emily, what is the site previously? I know we
It was previously,
Opposed.
yes, the Moe's restaurant. There was previously, this part of the patio was existing, and there were 2 parking spaces here that we had approved to be reduced at the last planning board meeting we attended. I can move along to my next point, which is we're looking to put a storage shed within the existing dumpster space behind the space where the 2 dumpsters currently sit. I did send in a cut sheet of dumpster the storage shed we are looking to put back there. This would be to store our exterior patio furniture during the winter months. As part of this, we would like to remove one portion of the existing fence so we can access the door on the shed. The dumpster enclosure is currently 6 feet high, and the topmost point of the shed stands at 8 feet high. So you would see the top 2 feet over the existing.
So have we
Oh, yep.
calculated the outdoor seating arrangement within the total parking needed?
Yes.
Have we done that
They had
yet?
excess, they previously had some excess parking, Bill, Joe, so it should not make a difference.
Okay,
Yeah, we have quite a fair bit of excess parking. To the third point, we have selected exterior paint colors. We would like to move forward with a charcoal gray. The 2 paint colors are spec'd here. I can include that in just a minute. And then we would like to paint some of the trim pieces a orange. I also have a side view. This side does have an existing fence running along here as well. Coming back to the front so you can take a look. Paint colors are Bears Shadow Mountain and Bears Bonfire Night.
so is there any extension in the height of the building with,
Nope, we're not changing
Okay.
anything about the building with the exception of the cooler.
Okay.
There is some existing signage that Mo's had mounted to the top of the awning, a little sort of silhouette of a man, and we'll be taking that down. They also had put little silhouette of the man on the existing sconces, and I suspect that unfortunately, the silhouette can't be removed without damaging the sconces, so we're proposing to just put in exactly the same new.
What's the address again?
This is 379 Russell Street.
Okay.
Any pancake chain or is it just a single operation?
They're a very small chain. They have 2 or 3 locations in Vermont.
That's right, I recall that.
Mhm. If anybody doesn't have any questions for me, our 4th point would be the signage, in which case I will turn this over to Amy.
I think it's good.
Hi, sorry, it's a
Very well.
little dark in here. This is Amy Mason from Azo Ridge Design. And we are proposing 2 exterior signs. Let me just get my screen ready. Sorry, I'm looking for the share screen. Oh, there it is. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
All right, so this is the main sign on the front of the building. Based on the square footage in the code, believe that we will need a variance for this sign just based on the size. And then we also are looking to add welcome onto the existing awning and some graphics in the front of the building. Does anybody have any questions on this sign?
Yes. What graphics in the front of the building? You have you have a picture of it?
Yep, so they're right on the screen. So they say crepes, coffee, vegan and vegetarian options. This is just saying that we serve breakfast and lunch. And then there's burgers, desserts, and beer.
Okay.
And then there's the logos in the middle here on the door.
Okay. You're allowed up to 4 signs per building. Because you are a multi-tenant building, you only are allowed 40 square feet total. So all four signs cannot exceed 40 square feet in total.
Okay.
And you have the right to go for a variance, absolutely. However, you must show a hardship to get a variance. And I don't think you have a hardship here.
Okay. I understand. I completely understand that. There is, another sign option that I would like to show you on the back of the building, but, I don't wanna change the screen in case anybody else has questions,
Well,
on what you're viewing.
Under the front of the building, is that where the signage is above the roof line? Is that a tower or is that?
Nope,
We
it
don't-
is
For
part of
example, we
the,
cannot allow signs above the roof line, so that looks like a building of some sort that is elevated to purposely put the sign. It's not part of the roof itself.
Is that where the Mo's sign is currently?
Sorry, I can
Yes,
step
that-
in and, yeah, that's an existing signage area and that's part of the existing building. That's where the Mo's sign was previously.
are there any other questions on this?
But sure,
Why?
does that, from the other members of the board, does that make it correct? Because Mo's had a sign that was incorrectly placed. Does this one? Just a discussion here.
It's not a change of use, is it? No.
No, it's still,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
restaurant.
Exactly.
Exactly what?
I have no problem with that sign being there if Moses been there.
Well, the problem, if no signs are above the roof line, and increasingly, we're seeing people try to get around that a little bit by adding a facade and then putting the sign up there. And if Mo's incorrectly put the sign up there, that does that give them
Right.
and that's my question to other members of the board. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you make them move it down, then they have to move the lighting down. I mean, there's certainly an argument for that's, if they're not changing the footprint of where Mo's sign was, but I don't know if that's the case or not.
yeah, that's probably a reasonable comment for both you and Mike. So just brought it up for discussion.
No, if they were moving it up, I would be against it. But if we didn't catch it, or we got snookered.
So if you could stop sharing for a moment so that I can share just to cast a little light on this. That's from Google Earth. That's what's there now.
So the Mo, pretty much in the same spot as the old Mo's.
So if that structure has been in place, if they were building something new, that would be one thing. The structure's been in place. We really can't disrupt the structure at this point because of the time it's been there. So I'm fine with it being in that location.
Okay, moving right along then.
Okay.
Okay, I will just move to the next slide. Oh. Okay, so on the back side of the building, we are proposing for a smaller sign that's only 25.5 square feet in the back. It is where the patio entrance will be. Again, a panel sign and panel sign and it's not illuminated.
That's,
You got, like I said before, you've got how many signs, rid up to 4 signs, and a total can't exceed 40 total square feet between all of them, so you'll have to decide what you want to do. We can approve everything but the signage tonight. You can come back to us at a future date if you want, on how you want to do it.
Yeah, I believe, Emily, do you want, we would, be doing these separately. I have not submitted, physical sign permits yet. Um,
Yeah,
I'm-
we've started our building permit process, so we can move forward with the 3 points that are approved. And then the signage will come later, at a later date. I have a final question, in regards to the paint colors. My client is interested in going out there and doing a test swatch on the building and seeing how it looks with everything around it. If he wanted to change the tone of the gray and the orange slightly, do we have to come back for the entire planning board meeting for new paint colors, or can we submit the colored elevations and the new paint swatches as more of an administrative review?
I mean, I'll just give you my 2 cents on that one. If the colors are close to what you have today, but say a slightly lighter or darker shade of gray, or orange, or whatever color you're using, then just let us know what they are and give us a sample of what you're going to do. And if you have a color rendering, that would be great. But you're not in the historical overlay district, so you have pretty much a wide open slate of potential colors you could use. Just let us know what you want to do.
Perfect, thank you.
So this basically is your administrative option. There is no other option. We don't have staff, so there's no one else who can approve it. Okay, so I'll make a motion to waive further site plan improvement for cooler enlargement, storage shed in the dumpster enclosure, and exterior paint scheme, but not approval of signage at this time.
Very good. We have a motion?
I can,
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussions?
yeah, I just wanted to go back to one thing. I thought I heard that there was a ramp in the back from the parking space. And did I hear that you're gonna put a dumpster where
No,
the where the planter was?
Let me quickly pull that back up for you. Oop. So back here is a small ramp up from the
Yeah.
parking, and we had planned to pave over. There used to be a planter here in the corner, and we would just like to put a small trash bin for people sitting outside.
Oh, okay, so collection, not a dumpster, got it.
Not a dumpster.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call vote for in favor.
Mark Dunn, aye.
Bill Dwyer, aye.
Jim Maximowski, aye.
Michael Sardinsky, aye.
Joe Zagradnik, aye.
Motion is unanimous and approved. You're all set. You can, building inspectors there will give a written waiver over the next day or two, but in the meantime, because he's on, you can go forward with your building permits.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Great evening.
good luck.
Next up, Mr. Dwyer.
Okay, so Fred Siaglo was the next in, but we have you, Fred, on the agenda itself later on. So we'll get back to you in a moment. John Stefanidis.
Okay. You're muted.
Ryan, you're muted.
Yes, that one. Ryan. Yes. How's it going? I'm working with John Stephanopoulos on the Dave's Hot Chicken over at 5 South Maple Street. Coming back for our second review as we went back to the drawing board to potentially get a, different view of our building. If you don't mind, I would like to share my screen.
Go ahead.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So actually, you know what I want to do first? Let me do this first real quick. I'm going to give a quick overview from Google Maps of the existing structure. So kind of from what we presented last week, the idea is to, make this structure not look like a bank. And in doing so, with not doing any of the real graffiti that we originally presented, what you're going to see in a rendering real quick is more of a, for lack of better terms, boxing out of the existing structure and actually creating a flat roof as well, where all mechanical units will live. So I just kind of want to get your eyes on the existing structure real quick, and I'll go right back to the renderings. So what we're presenting here is like a box out structure, something you'd see of a more modern McDonald's or a Wendy's or even Burger King now, and pretty much eliminating most of all the color and having almost a stark white building, keeping the roof height peak existing and not going above that. And kind of, like I said, we'd like to do a white LED rope light around the perimeter of the top of the parapet right there. And we'll have signs on the south side of the building and north, and then plan east where the takeout would be some type of mural. This probably wouldn't be the exact mural that we'd be using, something more of I think a local representation. I don't know, Minuteman or something to do with Hadley or the Amherst or something with the colleges, but we'd like to do some type of mural on the drive-through side of the building. But pretty much is what we're presenting today is, more or less a squared up building, not to look like a bank or a house anymore. More of a modern, fast casual, painted white with a white LED rope light. And keeping in mind of the 64 square feet of total signage, we'd like to keep one long Dave's Hot Chicken and then one chicken head logo at our main entrance. And then we'll
Are you talking of getting rid of the slope roof and putting flat roof, or is that a parapet you're going to put up there?
We are going to put a flat roof, potentially with a parapet as well, for servicing our mechanical units. I
So
think
you will remove the pitched roof and put this kind of a flat roof up.
correct.
Okay, all right. Just want to understand what's going on here. Okay.
And if I understand, and Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if the parapet goes 3 feet above the actual roof line behind it, the sign needs to be 3 feet down from the top of the parapet. Right? Is it not above the top of the parapet or not above the top of the roof line, even if it's concealed?
Correct. It needs to be, the Dave's Hot Chicken needs to be at the roof, the flat roof line or below.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's 3 feet below the flat roof line.
If whatever your parapet is.
Whatever the height of your parapet is.
Yeah, that's up to you. If your parapet's 8 foot high, then it needs to be 8 feet down.
Yeah, that shouldn't be.
Is that a, what kind of, is that a halo lit sign?
Yes, both illuminated backlit signs.
Okay. Illuminated backlit?
The LED rope light is not backlit.
Oh, correct. Not the rope light is not backlit.
So that's just the light. Now, just a caution on on the LED white rope. There was a Texas Roadhouse had a lot of white lights on its building.
Yep.
And to the point that they actually had to shut a lot of them off and tone them down because they were too bright for the area. So just be aware that, we don't know how bright your LED light is going to be. But if it's too bright and infringes, especially on traffic on Route 9 or on North-South Maple Street, you may be requested to tone it down or entirely shut it off.
Noted.
Well, so wouldn't an LED rope light be internally illuminated?
Yes.
It's an exterior light. I don't know how to answer that one.
No.
Well, we can ask our signage vendor or electricians. If it was an LED illuminated light, would that be considered signage or
I would
something?
consider it an internally illuminated sign.
Well, it's not a sign. It's just, I'd consider it just lighting. It's
Yeah, and
intended to light up and draw attention and provide light for the building.
What's the-
Do your other locations have the same lighting?
They do not.
I would think that it's broadcasting out without any control. You can't shield it or anything. So I would say if you had it built into a
Dimmer.
valence or something, so that it shines back on your building and then bounces out. But just, yeah, I could see a concern with that unshielded.
Okay. Potentially, maybe instead of maybe a rope light, maybe some type of light structure that's a downlit
Yeah.
fixture.
Yeah.
Might
Almost.
be more, because the lighting, this lighting appears very similar to the way Texas Roadhouse had theirs.
Yeah.
And it was so bright, it actually infringed on Route 9. And if you look for Texas Roadhouse, there's about, a good quarter mile to their west is a bunch of houses. And when the trees lost their leaves, it was actually bright on those houses. That's how bright it was.
Yes.
So they were requested to tone it way down, which they did. And all I'm saying is, it'd be a shame to spend that kind of money on all this lighting only to not be able to use it.
Just by way of some background material, a few years ago, we used to have the Historical Commission weigh in on various looks on the building. And they were kind of instrumental in having the bank look more like a New England building. And this is, they're almost taking pride in eliminating the old New England look and putting something like Southern California in. And I don't know if I would disapprove it, but it certainly doesn't go with the grain that we were originally following.
Yeah, I don't think we've yet adopted a full dark sky ordinance, but we're really not looking to see things from space.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about your LED rope lighting is going to be downlit, because we used to permit parking lot lights to be in various designs. And although they looked nice, they were various degrees of intrusive to the neighbor, to the traffic and everything else. So if you're going to put this LED rope lighting up, put some kind of a top shield on it so that it doesn't illuminate to the sky.
Yeah. A couple of the things we could potentially do too is almost have a cove. And within that cove too, there are fixtures or rope lights or strip lights with dimming capabilities. if we ever wanted to, entertain that just in case, like,
Yeah.
as a belt suspenders, because, we could control the actual brightness.
Could you, if you would help rather than the rendering, if you could give us an actual illustration. Now, I understand this is not, won't say Dave's Hot Chicken, but if you could give us an actual illustration of the concept you're trying to achieve there.
Oh,
Phone.
sample of another installation? Is that what you're?
Yes, a similar installation elsewhere, so we'd have a better sense of what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah.
But the other buildings don't have the lighting.
Well, they
Yeah.
don't have- The other
No.
ones in this franchise don't have the lighting, but there
Oh,
must
okay.
be there must be similar
If
lighting.
there's a lighting
installations.
product, yeah. If they had advertising literature that showed installations, not
So-
Dave's Hot Chicken.
What are the dimensions of the signage that you're showing here?
I don't have those figures in front of me. Doing the quick scale with our design team, we told them to keep them both under 64 square feet for the two. It would be 3 signs in total, 2 on the building and 1 pylon sign. But
Okay.
when we present next, I'll make sure I have the exact square footage.
So just to be clear, the 64 square feet is for the entire building, not for each sign on the building.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right,
And
and
the
the
pylon
pylon's separate.
is a separate standalone 64 square feet. Now you have, this is its own mailing, is a standalone building lot? Or is it part of the mall?
It's standalone.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and then from last meeting to another quick update, we will be eliminating any exterior seating as well, as we do not want to mess up any of the existing parking calculations with the building.
Okay.
And I get the point about keeping the New England feel to the structure. It's just sometimes with these fast casuals, we've gone into another bank and it just almost feels like a bank, and it's tough to get the bank out of a restaurant, as you will. So that was kind of the reasoning for the boxing out of the structure. We're still willing to entertain paint schemes. It doesn't have to be stark white. Some other, buildings, and within the next presentation, I can present more options too. Maybe, some of these, we'll call it this middle tower right here, could be painted. We've seen dark gray. It isn't brand specific. It's just, I think it was to fit in with the neutral buildings around it. But by all means, it's rendering, is just for mostly, or not the rendering, but elevations is for kind of the restructuring purpose. And then we can move more into the actual color scheme as well.
I don't want to second guess your design choices, but I will tell you that this looks very much similar to the style of new banks that are being put up. The Chase
Didn't
Bank.
John,
Like a Chase Bank, correct?
the
didn't
Chase
John
Bank
Devine like
across the street.
turquoise?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, actually.
Isn't Chipotle kind of boxed out? Like that as well?
Correct. Yep, Chipotle, kind of the new McDonald's, Burger King's, kind of the, the newer
Popeyes as well next to us.
Popeyes as well.
Mm.
So that was kind of the reasoning for the box out, is kind of it's working for them. It should work for us as well, and it's going to be a better place for our equipment to live. The makeup air units, exhaust fans. We might restructure. There's a bunch of mini splits around the existing bank now that we'd like to probably maybe put on the roof as well. So having a flat roof with a potential parapet that's still up for discussion will hide most of our mechanical units as well.
Not an excuse to put the sign up there, as we had somebody pull
Yes.
that on us last year, so.
No,
Okay.
I can guarantee nothing was discussed about keeping our signs higher than what would be allowed by the city.
Michael, I'm surprised you didn't weigh in about the design of buildings like, what was that Dunkin' Donuts you always referred to in Williamsburg?
Yeah, but that's in the historical district.
Well, we'll be here in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay. We'll see if I can put a little more to our presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, with the exception of the LED rope lighting, and of course, to get the dimensions of the sign, but everything, even your mural, if you could show us a picture of what the mural would be, that would be a big plus.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And then last in for general business was Philip Shaver.
Philip Favor? Are you here for anything or just to listen?
You're muted.
Well, he's not saying.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we can go into the public hearing and scheduled appointments. And I had Fred Siaglo down first to discuss the Hopkins Academy outdoor scoreboard and whether it is an internally illuminated sign.
Mr. Siaglo?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Could you put your video on, please?
Okay. Well, I don't have, it says I have a poor connection, so my video won't go back on. It was working before, it's not going on now.
Okay. All right.
So
And,
I'm trying to.
now.
if you start to.
Yeah, but it's still, do you see me?
We can see you. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't see you, so then perfect. Okay. So basically, these scoreboards are, there's no advertising on these scoreboards. They are going to be lit up during the daytime. Obviously, we don't have any night games. We don't have lights. And they'll just be for the duration of the games, a couple hours, the day of the games. Basically, the money was given by the CPA to be able to have these scoreboards. And there's really no other way to have scoreboards other than being internally lit. We chose to go with a white lights, which are the yellow lights are very bold. They're very dark, and they don't look nice. These white lights more, and they look much nicer. But again, there's no signs advertising being put on these boards, strictly for the kids, strictly for the athletic events. And I'm going to say you probably can't even see them if you're not on the school property when they are being used. We've used them a few times already with the baseball games. And if you were at Route 9, you can't even see that there's a sign on. So that's how, they're not overbearing. And it's really the only way you can have, unless we had a Fenway Park where we could hang numbers on the scoreboard. I mean, there's no other way for us to have scoreboards out there.
Is there an image? Does anyone have an image to share of the boards?
Freddie, when you played for Ronnie Boresco, were there scoreboards out there? I'm just curious. I don't think.
It was one small one, like a 4x8. No, well, at one point, I think my junior senior year, there was like a piece of plywood that was put up on two 4x4s, and you did hang signs. But doing a $2.5 million project, that's just not. And that scoreboard lasted about 3 years.
You have your hand up, Mr. Quinlan? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I'm embarrassed. I just had concerns and complaints about them why I wasn't enforcing it. I just wanted to correct. Mr. Siaglo, there is two, correct? Mr. Dwight said one, but there is two, to clarify that, right?
There's two.
And
Correct.
yes, yep. And they're white lights. They're only during the day. I just wanted to clarify with anybody that, you know, any of the complaints or concerns, citizens, that Mr. Siaga was good enough to come on.
Yeah, this issue that you're in front of us, Mr. Siago, is not that the planning board is trying to be a super hard nose, but just that several complaints have come into the building inspector, and we simply want to set the determination as to why these are or not, or could maybe not be permitted. And so far, what you said is there's no advertising, they're not commercial, they don't face Route 9, they're only used during games, they're not advertising at any way, point, or form, any business or otherwise in town. They're just used for sporting events for the several hours that the sporting events is active, and then off the rest of the time.
Correct.
Okay. Based on that determination, I would entertain a motion that these are permitted based on the fact that they're not an advertising sign. These are strictly scoreboards for school sports.
I'll make that motion.
Anybody?
Second.
Any discussion on it? I mean, did I basically state that correctly? Yes. Any other comments, questions?
I had asked if there was any image of them, because I haven't gotten over there during the day to see them on.
Yeah, I've seen them from you can see one sign that's kind of sideways to Route 9. And I don't want to say it's invisible to Route 9, because if it's illuminated, you can probably see something. But the other one is behind the school, and it's might be visible from, maybe from, I doubt it's visible from maybe from Middle Street if you're in just the right position between a house or two, but it's not.
Correct. Well,
Something that's going to stand out. Anyway, we have a motion and a second. No other discussion. All in
right,
favor?
now that the trees are all, full of leaves, you can't even see them out there.
Yeah. All in
Mark
favor?
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximovsky, aye.
Tarzinski, aye.
Zagradnik, aye.
Motion is unanimous and passed that these are not a commercial sign and they're permitted use. Thank you, Mr. Siago. You want that? You want the?
Okay,
waiver?
thank you very much. Have a great night.
Yep. You want me to put the normal waiver in writing for you, just so you can have a written record of it, Mr. Quinlan? Okay.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Fred, for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, we now have the public hearing. The Hadley Planning Board will conduct a Zoom public hearing on Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, beginning at 6:45 p.m. Purpose of the of the hearing is to review the application of U.S. Metal Roofing and Mr. Gutter to construct approximately a 15,250 square foot building at 220 Russell Street rear for special permits, site plan approval, and business use in aquifer. Plans are available by emailing planning@hadleyma.gov or visit town clerk's office during normal business hours. Published twice in the Gazette, June 3 and June 10th. And Mr. Reedy?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Quick question, I'm in a butter. Should I recuse myself from participating?
Did you get a notice?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Well,
Okay, then,
everybody in the whole place got a notice, even those that probably aren't within 300 feet.
You're right.
okay,
Are you
yes.
within 300? Are you a butter within 300 feet, Mike?
No. I'm not within 300 feet.
Then I would say you're probably not a direct abutter under the law.
Okay, okay.
Well,
You're not in the butter to an abutter.
he has a fractional interest in the common areas. of
Exactly,
the
exactly.
condominium.
Oh,
Exactly. Good point, Bill.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the law would consider him in a butter.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay, I'll take it away. For the record, Tom Reedy, attorney with Bacon Wilson out of Amherst, here on behalf of, and with me is Barry Roberts, of 220 Russell Street, owner of 220 Russell Street. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to bring you through existing conditions at the site. We're going to talk about an approval from 2004 when this whole thing was originally approved. Kevin Michelson had owned it. There was going to be, I think, 7 storage units at that time. Barry has kind of phased different buildings into this development. And so we were here, I want to say a couple of months ago, had the conversation with the board and said what we did for Wagging Tails, which was the previous building built on the site. We said, well, we're using the same site plan, but we're going to go through the business use and the aquifer special permit piece. When we had that conversation with you a couple of months ago, you asked us to get an engineer's opinion on the sufficiency of the stormwater infrastructure designed and approved back in 2004. That was designed by Berkshire Design, who's also one of your peer reviewers in town, so we thought it was appropriate to go through them. They looked at it. You've got, I think, that letter in your packet. It's essentially a 50% reduction in impervious area from what was previously approved. Those 7 storage units plus the gravel around there to what's being proposed today. So I'll walk you through the site, what was approved, the proposal as far as the site plan, and then also some of the architecture. All right, so this one's, it'll be a quick one just to familiarize everyone with what we're talking about here. Route 9, Russell Street's at the bottom of the screen. The Roddick Trail, Rail Trail is at the top of the screen. East Street Commons, the senior housing development is to the west. And then you've got this right here is the whole of 220 Russell Street. You've got a Mears Auto Express down here. And what this is Wagging Tail. And so what we're going to be talking about, if you can see my cursor, is this area right in here. You've got some fill and then also some storage trucks here. So you have all of this, and that's what we're going to be talking about when we're talking about this proposal. So I'll stop sharing that one, and I will bring up the previously approved plan.
What was the date of the prior approval?
I want to say the plan set was June 17th, 2003. I don't know that I know the approval off the top of my head. I want to say it was in 2004 at some point. I can get you that specific answer though.
Okay.
And so this is what was approved for 220 Russell Street. Here is, it wasn't Wagging Tails at that time, but this is about the area about where Wagging Tails is. This is where the fitness space is, and over here, that's what we're talking about for the storage units. There were 7 of them totaling 31,500 square feet, and around them was about 63,000 square feet of parking for about 95,000 square feet of impervious coverage in this area. There was a stormwater system that was approved for it. It's located in this area right here. There were some piping and manholes that brought it to this area right here. And so then finally, I will show you the proposal. So what you had just seen was all those storage units taking up this area. What we're proposing is a 15,248 square foot building oriented more north to south. And then the parking just on the easterly side of that, and the parking area totals 31,717 square feet. And then there's some proposed landscaping. And Barry, I'll ask you in a little bit. I think you've already started berming up this area for that separation from East Street Commons to ensure sufficient barrier between this business and the condominium units over in this area here. So we meet the coverage requirements, we meet all of the dimensional regulations. And then, as I said, we have that letter from Berkshire Design. The previous approved impervious area was 91,904 square feet. The stormwater system worked for that. That was the design it was made for. The total impervious
Julie had
area.
a planning board meeting.
It's the total impervious area of what's proposed is 46,965 square feet. And so it's about a 50%, little less than 50% reduction. And so we don't anticipate any issues with the stormwater system. The use is really as a home base. And so Keith Rabine owns, it's a family-owned business, I think 50 plus years, both US Metal Roof and Mr. Gutter. They're both roll form products, meaning what he has in this space are just big rolls of metal in a bunch of different colors. I think he said 16 different colors. So if somebody wants a beige gutter, he doesn't have to go out and say, well, let me order it and let me get it. He's got the roll there. And what'll happen is he'd have a little showroom in the front of the, I would assume the front of the space, an office space, and then really it's storage for those rolls and for any equipment. And what they do is they take those rolls. So like I've got gutters on my house, and what he does is they come out to the site, they measure the length of what you need for a gutter, and they actually roll it on site. And so there's not fabrication of the gutters or the metal roof at this site, right? It's storage. They put it in the vehicle, and then they're going wherever they're going. I think he says he's got 5 trucks on the road at different times. So that's what's looking to occur here. And then let me share finally just some, and I had shared these before, but it's worth sharing again. They were the
Elevations.
precisely. Thank you, Mr. Dunn. So we've got elevations. This is the east elevation. You've got 4 garage bays here, designed by John Kuhn, meant to fit into that New England vernacular, long barn-ish building. You've got the north elevation. So this is facing the bike path. You've got the south elevation. This is facing Route 9. And then you've got the west elevation, and that would be facing East Street Commons, or actually the landscaping between this and East Street Commons. And so you'll see that you've got all the work not on the west side as far as like what's going to open, where a vehicle is going to be traveling. Those are all tucked on this east side, buffered by the building before it gets to East Street Commons. So one more piece of it. So I asked Keith about, because we're in the aquifer, what does he have on site as far as chemicals? Does he use any chemicals? And he said they don't use any chemicals. They've got, he checked their current operation is in Holyoke. He checked his janitorial closet, and they've got 2 1-gallon containers of hand soap, 1-gallon container of Windex, 2 24-ounce sprayers of Windex, and a gallon of bleach, and that's it. So that's what we're dealing with as far as the aquifer protection district. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Barry's here as well. But that's what we're looking to get approved.
Any dumpster or enclosure or anything like that?
That's a good question, Barry. I mean, I would imagine there'll be some dumpster enclosure on the site. Barry's got a rollaway right now that probably isn't going to be there anymore. But have you given any thought, Barry, of where that may go? And I'll share my site plan so we can, is it something like right here? You're going to put a.
I would think they would have a metal recycle dumpster and an aluminum recycle dumpster at least. They generate a decent amount of scrap steel and aluminum for when they're taking gutters down, cutting gutters, stuff like that. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's certainly it's permitted within the aquifer. There's no problem with that. But just where would you put them? That's all.
Yeah, so if they go to a job and tear out a gutter and put up a new gutter, they bring it back. I know in Holyoke he has a container for that, for scrap. And I think you're right. We do have a dumpster located right here, right now, that services these buildings. But I think Keith will probably want to have one of his own. So I think it'd probably be located back in here someplace.
Are you we can't see your screen, Barry, so is it where my cursor is, if you can see it by the bike path?
I can see your cursor, yes.
Yeah, that's where it'd be, that's where it would go, okay.
I mean, you really don't want to put a fence around it so everybody doesn't throw. I mean, if you got aluminum and a steel recycle dumpster, you don't want to make sure people aren't throwing trash in it, that's all.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Now, the other question, Tom, you were alluding to the fact that there are several trailers parked there for storage or whatever use they have, as well as some other equipment. Are those going to all be moved off-site?
Barry, those are all the back of
Yeah,
18
5 of them
wheelers.
have gone already, and the rest are going. So there won't be no storage trailers.
Okay.
And I forget, Tom, did you say anything about lighting on the site?
Yeah, we've got, and I think we have provided it to you, some cut sheets of what we were going to be providing. There's some downcast lights at the garage door, and then I think we've got, so here, if I show you, I think
They were on the last
Elevation.
piece you shared. Yeah.
this one. So you've got some downcast lights at the garage doors here, and you've got a new sight light over here, and then over here. So you've got, you've got
And
3 sight lights.
do we know what?
Well away and on the other side of the East Street Commons visibility.
Well,
They are the type of light that we do not favor. We like the shoebox without an exposed light source.
Barry, I don't think that's an issue, is it, to swap these out for some sort of kind of what you've done in Amherst at a couple of those parking lots, just that downcast?
Absolutely, no problem.
We can do that.
And
So you've got these gooseneck garage lights, and then
That's
Bill,
fine.
it'll be what you said, either the full shoebox or those that are, just the top that projects just downwards.
Yeah, we approved that type of light for a hotel over near 116, and they were beautiful lights, but they really just cast a point brightness. The lumens were fine at the property line, but the brightness was an irritant to the neighbors.
So you think like a shoebox style is better than the flat ones?
Yeah, well,
The shoebox style light have been rather successful no matter where we've had them installed.
As long as it's shielded, I mean, I think we would entertain other styles. I don't think we want to dictate the style.
yeah, we just don't like the exposed light source.
No problem.
With the exposed light source like they had over where it's now a Comfort Inn, they had those lights and they were exposed. By the time they get through shielding them, they gave no light because the light went out sideways and not down. So that didn't work.
Got it. Yeah, no, we'll do the shoebox. That's fine.
So do you have a pole height in mind, or are you going to work that out with the fixture style?
16 feet is what's being proposed in these
Okay.
3 areas.
I don't personally have a problem with 16 feet.
How does that compare with the peak of the roof line? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I want to say it's less. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I have. Darren, do you have a sense of the height of the building? I don't know that John put the height on this.
I would guess it was 18 to 20 feet.
Yeah, I would say at least.
Because
Right,
if that's those are
Right, if garage
7-foot or
doors
8-foot
here.
doors. Yeah.
I would guess those are like 8 or 10 foot doors.
Right.
If they're 8x8s, then yeah. So you're probably at least 18 or 20 feet.
24, something like that. Yeah, that'd be right.
Hmm.
And then a couple of cupolas.
I have no objections. I think it looks a lot nicer. I appreciate the barn style. I think it's quite an improvement over 7 storage buildings.
Got the John Devine cupolas on there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I was waiting for that comment, Jim.
It's a throwback.
Yes.
I was gonna say that, but I can't participate.
Or you can make comments.
Just curious, does the business operation call for vehicles to be stored inside or will they be parked outside?
Yeah, I think when I talked to Keith today, he intends to have an oil water separator, floor drains and an oil water separator. So that said to me, they're probably, and Barry, I don't know if you know different, but that said to me that the vehicles would probably go inside, whether they're stored inside, I don't know. And Barry, I don't know if you know, but that's what I had the discussion. You're muted.
I think some stay out and some go in. I think they put them in to load them and bring them out, and I think some stay in overnight.
Any other questions from the board?
Signage.
Anybody
We'll be
else?
back for signage.
Yeah. Is there any signage?
Well, nothing's proposed at this point. I'd imagine he'd want something small on the building, and I think Barry has a sign out at Route 9 that we would just have to see how many square feet it's taking up. Or how many square feet it already has taken up in what we may do with that sign. So
Okay.
I think we'd have to investigate that a little bit more, talk to Keith, and then be back. to the sign.
Signed to be determined.
Precisely.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Even any audience? Yes, sir.
Couple of questions. I'm sorry I'm late. I had trouble finding the link. And I want to say that I appreciate the discussion that took place before. It wasn't added. I saw it on Zoom and I appreciated the work that the board did in a very thoughtful way of looking at this particular issue. I'm a resident the other side of Barry. So we're on the end of the East Commons Drive cul-de-sac, which is close to where this building will go. I understand most of the activity is going to take place on the far side, on the east side of the building. We're on the west side of the building. I came in just as you were talking about lights. Will there be lights on the west side of the building?
I didn't see any.
No.
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 So there won't be any lights that will be shining into the East Commons Drive. Is that correct?
That's what they're saying, correct.
That's
There
correct.
shouldn't be unless their building's illuminated inside, coming through the windows. That would be the only light.
Right. And that would be more, that would be muted. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Barry, it looks like there's a doorway. Is there any emergency access on that west side, or is it just all? You're muted again.
I believe it's all on the east side, Tom.
Okay, so no, I didn't know if there was an emergency door with some light over it in case of, but it sounds like everything's coming out the east, so it doesn't look like there's anything over there.
Great. And in terms of, again, just to clarify, my understanding is that there will be no fabrication taking place on site.
Yeah, they don't take raw materials and manufacture the gutters. They have the rolls, they take them off site, and that's where they actually do the roll form.
So they're putting them on the truck here.
Correct.
Mostly inside.
I'd imagine mostly inside.
The loading takes place inside and then the trucks leave.
Correct. And then they get what, they go to the site, they make the gutters or the same thing with it, and then they come back. Right. And that's the beauty. I mean, both, as you can imagine, anytime you're dealing with water, whether it's the roof or the gutters, you want that seamless approach. And that's why it's kind of a beautiful operation because that's what they're doing.
So the water is all protected. I know that was a concern, the water table.
There's virtually no chemicals used in the building.
No, nothing is happening there that's going to seep into them.
Correct.
And the noise there shouldn't be any noise. Is that correct?
Just trucks entering and leaving. I mean, to say there'll be no noise, occasionally dropping a roll on a truck is,
Yeah.
you're gonna hear an occasional little bit,
Right.
but you're not gonna hear a constant day-long rattle.
Right, right. That's great. That's great. I think those are my main concerns, light and sound and filings through the air, which none of those will happen, if I understand correctly.
Right. Yeah,
That
we're not gonna have anything, there's no, how to put this, there's no air pollution as far as anything going into the air like fibers and cuttings or any of that. That's all, no, none of that.
Right.
Just an occasional cuss word from the workers when something doesn't go right.
Right. Right. Okay.
Uh,
Well, again, I
because-
appreciate the attention to all this, and
Okay.
I don't know if there are any other residents here or have been here, but we certainly appreciate it.
The approval will be specific to this use as well. So if this business changes, if someone else wants to come in, it has to go through a reapproval process. It
Right.
won't just be anyone moving in, taking over the space
Transfer.
without further review.
Great. Thank you.
This is, yeah,
Yes,
can you, this is Barbara King Shaver. I'm right behind where the building's gonna be. I'm near the number 34 East Street Commons. And Ken asked some good questions. I just want clarification on one. Those two doors that face our development, the sort of the back doors of the building, they're not gonna be lightings over those because they would go right into my backyard.
Are those on the north
there's
side?
no doors on the east side facing East Street, on the west side facing East Street.
Okay, that was my question. That was my question.
Well,
I thought I
there
saw
might
two
be-
doors in the drawing. I didn't.
It looks
I-
like two man doors.
Yeah, it looked like two doors, yeah.
Oh,
There's
it's-
no lighting?
Elevations, Tom?
There you go.
Are those?
Sorry, this is, I was talking about these two here, and I think Barry, you're saying no doors, and I guess maybe to not put the building commissioner on the spot, but are these doors required? Would there be a requirement to have some second means of egress? And would they have to be externally illuminated?
That was my question.
Depends how it was designed, whether they're gonna be required, I'm assuming that's why, the design professional has them there, but then they would have to have, just a residential light minimum. If they were.
During hours of operation.
So that's one of the reasons for building a berm and a protection in
Okay,
back of Barbara's house, so that she won't even be able to see the building.
thank you, Barry.
Okay.
Might just be an emergency exit in case someone hated their gutters and comes in irate.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Dwyer?
All right, I'll make let's see. Since keep abstaining. I'll make a motion to approve the application for site plan approval and to approve the application for business use in the aquifer. Based upon the following findings, the project is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the site plan approval and of the aquifer bylaw. Project is not detrimental to the established or future character of the neighborhood. The intended uses are not prohibited by the terms of the bylaw and are permitted thereby. Work will be in accordance with the submitted plans. Copies have been distributed as required. Proposal satisfies the site plan review criteria. No waivers are requested. place the following conditions. The design features are considered to be an integral part of the approval. Approval is for the following use, Mr. Gutter and USA.
US Metal Roof.
And US Metal Roof. No sign detail has been provided, so you'll have to come back for that. Landscaping to be installed per the plans. Any outdoor lighting newly established to be shielded. No storage containers, shipping containers, temporary or permanent storage structures not depicted on the plan are allowed. This does not excuse the project from compliance with the Conservation Commission, Building Commissioner, Public Safety, DPW, Board of Health, etc. Any project changes directed by other boards must be approved by the Planning Board. And project will be reviewed for compliance by an independent consultant on behalf of the Planning Board at the sole cost and expense of the applicant. Special permit is granted to the Mr. Gutter and US Metal Roof. Operate in the Aquifer District. As required by the bylaw, the plan shows drainage recharge features, provisions to control erosion. No processed chemicals are involved or held for retail sale. Approval is subject to each tenant. Further review is required as specific tenants are identified. And that should do it.
That is the motion. Do we have a second?
I would second.
Motion and second, Mr. Dunn. Any other discussions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Mr. Dunn,
Mark Dunn, aye.
Bill Dwyer, aye.
Jim Maximowski, aye.
Michael Starzinski abstain.
Joe Zagradnik, aye.
Motion passes 4-0 with one abstention. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very
Yes.
much, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Barry. Good job, you and Tom, Mr. Reedy, as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when you come back with signage, can you tell us what the actual roof height will be?
I'll make a note of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
We've got a couple of bills to pay. I'll make a motion to pay our stipend for the last quarter for the 5 planning board members, $575.
I'll second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor? Mr.
Aye.
Dunn?
Mark Dunn, nay. No, I mean aye.
Bill Dwyer, aye.
Jim Maximowski, aye.
Michael Starzinski, aye.
Joe Zagradnik, aye.
Motion passes
Wait.
unanimously. Thank
What
you.
was the dollar amount, Jim?
575. 575.
Okay.
And then the last invoice for the fiscal year to pay Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, $4,603.27.
460327.
That is the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll
Mr. Dunn
second.
seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Roll call vote. Mr. Dunn,
Mark Dunn, aye.
Bill Dwyer, aye.
Jim Maximowski, aye.
Michael Starzinski, aye.
Joe Zagradnik, aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Wanna
And
email that to me since with the new accountant, we have to submit the invoices on SharePoint.
on what?
On SharePoint, so with the new accountant, we have to submit the invoices on SharePoint. And I can submit it using my town Microsoft account. So if you email me the invoice with the account number, I can upload it. So we no longer email the invoices to the accountant.
Yeah, it's a hosted cloud site.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why they're going through. I couldn't figure out why they're going through you. Now I understand.
Yeah.
Nothing's easy anymore.
We at the Blob use SharePoint as well.
Okay. It's okay. Tyler, do you just want, I will email you an email with the two attachments or a separate email and the invoice. You want the account numbers on the invoice or just separately as long as they're together, you can put them together? How does that work?
As long as you just get me the numbers, if you want to just write in the email the number, you don't have to write it directly on the invoice. But yeah,
Okay.
as long as you get me the number and I guess written approval that you voted to
Okay,
approve the
I just
invoice.
want to, I don't want to make it any more difficult than it needs to be. Okay, thank you. What are we doing on compiling minutes of meetings? Any progress?
We're working on it.
A few drafts.
She did some drafts that I haven't had a chance to review yet.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, anything, this will get, okay. Anything new on our smart growth zoning, Mr. Dunn?
Last night's meeting was mostly discussing the next step, which is public engagement. He did a little more, Kyle did a little more filling out of the land use information. He's going to get a little more information, so he's going to have that finalized at the next meeting, which we actually accelerated to next Monday with vacations coming up. And I sent out a email today to Carolyn Brennan asking if it was possible for us to include something for our public engagement survey in a town mailing, like in any of the billings. So I'm waiting to hear back on that.
And usually you can put those, as long as you get the stuff, whatever you're gonna have, to the appropriate department, whatever mailing is gonna go out, they can include them in the envelope, depending how many pages it is too.
Right, I think we're talking about one page, and then also on there, we might have a QR code if they'd rather do the online, but we're trying to cover all the demographics for someone who would rather do a paper survey and someone who would rather just do it online.
Okay. Okay. And thank you. Unanticipated matter, Mr. Dwyer, you wanna bring that up and
I'll
give
take it
a brief overview? Did you?
I forwarded it around. Hang on just a second. Kayla, I just emailed you the actual invoice for PVPC. I am having trouble with my Outlook. So let me try once more to see if I can bring up that letter that came in.
If I read it correctly, or I should wait and let you.
Okay. Can any of you bring up the letter that I sent around?
I would.
Yeah, Outlook is just, your message can't be displayed now. Check your network connection. So.
Need a new cat.
So in a nutshell, Boston law firm on behalf of 0 Point sent a letter to the Attorney General's office challenging the legitimacy of the battery storage bylaw that we adopted at the annual town meeting. And I think it reflects a somewhat lack of understanding of the full scope, but it does mention the fact that by excluding battery storage from the aquifer, we functionally made it impossible to put it anywhere in Hadley. Although they then go on to say that only leaves about 200 odd acres where it could be put, which is not exactly, can't be put anywhere in Hadley. And so the Attorney General's office notified Town Council that they received this. Town Council notified Carol and Brennan, who looped me into it. They didn't get me the letter until I didn't actually see the letter until Friday, which is why I did the amended. So basically, Town Council is asking if we want to have a response to it. So I'm sure we do, and we probably want to talk about what that's going to be.
And it says, because as explained below, Article 23 was intended to prevent the development of energy storage systems in Hadley. And I'm like, that's not at all what we were trying to do. We were trying to protect our constituents and allow it in certain areas. So it seemed just right off the bat somewhat hyperbolic.
Exactly, Mark.
I'm not sure how to. I would share mine if I could, but I'm on my iPad, and it doesn't seem to give me the option to share from email. So.
Should we respond to Town Council or should we respond to the Attorney General, Bill?
We'll respond to Town Council, who will respond to the Attorney General. So just putting together some talking points, I would want to mention that battery-only storage is not allowed under the current bylaw per prior Town Council opinion. To speak to Mark's point, not an attempt to ban batteries.
Yeah.
Rather attempt to allow them in appropriate locations.
Yeah, should we come up with some kind of numbers? Jim, do you have a rough idea of where they would be allowed in residential agricultural percentage acre wise? Probably should put that in because that was an understatement.
Well, they had their own calculation. I don't know as we have any better calculation, but I think we want to focus on what they see as what basically they're saying they can't put it where they want to put it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yet they admit that there are 200 acres, or they admit there are places to put it.
There's more than 200.
200
You know how
acres.
many acres the aquifer covers, and then how many acres total Hadley, and then we can, the difference is where they can put.
No, it's more complex than that because you have to factor in APR and undevelopable land.
And the spotted toads or salamanders.
Just swamp.
It's more than 200 acres. I mean, no, it's gotta be.
Absolutely.
That's a third of a square mile.
Yeah, there's way more than 200 acres where this thing could be put.
Sure. And we don't, they pulled the number out of the air with the 200 acres. We can pull it out. We could say it's 3 square miles or 4 square miles.
No, we don't have to. A, we don't have to say that. And B, we can't back it up if we do. But what we can say is by their own calculations, there is available acreage. Just not where they want it.
We take the high road.
They would write that letter only if they had sufficient political pull. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, I wish Senator Comerford would get involved in this, just have her come to these kind of meetings.
She has become involved.
Yes.
If you read the Gazette this week, she was presented with a petition from some other community which is facing a even larger battery storage proposal. And there's also I forget where. I think not Pelham, but maybe one of her Franklin County communities.
Wendell. Deja Brew, Wendell.
Okay, now I can't bring. I'm working on 2 computers here. My video is on an Apple. My other one is an IBM, regular IBM compatible. I can call up the email with all the details on the other one, but I can't call up on the Apple for whatever reason. I don't know why. But anyways, their letter, in case people haven't read it, goes to Margaret Hurley, Assistant AG. Dear Hurley, Mrs. Hurley, we are 0 point, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As explained below, Article 23 was intended to prevent the development of energy storage systems in Hadley, and if allowed to take effect, would do just that. In recent years, the Attorney General has reviewed multiple proposed zoning amendments regulating ESS for consistency, et cetera, for Mass General laws, on and on and on, and it gives you a bunch of cases. We are not prohibiting. The intent was not to prohibit. His intent was to allow it.
Yeah.
Then we could say that the bylaw only excludes whatever the aquifer covers, so we didn't have to get into acreage. Yet the bylaw only excludes 23%, whatever the aquifer covers in town. How much?
No,
we
don't go there. Don't.
No. Okay.
Down to numbers.
No.
Use their numbers against them.
Okay.
Aren't we already down from 3 wells to 2, and we don't want to pollute one?
We have 2 wells, the Mount Warner wells, which is at the bottom of the mountain from where this place is being proposed, and the Callahan wells, which is at not far from, right up the road off of 47 by Fort River.
We want to mention that the aquifer is the sole source of water for the citizens of Hadley.
Yeah.
Or electing constituents.
I would say there was no evidence presented that any proposed battery-only storage would not be a risk to the aquifer.
Correct.
So what we're doing is, this comes to the shifting of the burden of who has the burden of proof. And in this case, we want to try to shift it back to them to say that you didn't show us that there was no risk. You didn't prove that there was no risk. They would like us to prove that there is a risk before we prohibit it, but we'll just argue to the contrary. So the four, I'll put together something more elaborate, but the 4 points to come up with so far is battery only was not allowed under the current bylaw. So hence, this was not an attempt to ban batteries. It was an attempt to authorize them. They acknowledge that there is available acreage outside the aquifer, even with all of the limitations that they put on it. And there is no evidence that any proposed battery only facility would not be a risk to the aquifer. And prior history, Jim and I worked on a paragraph to go to the Attorney General with the bylaw in the first place. So we did mention the problem with the was it the rocket fuel in the Mount Warner wells? What was that chemical?
Perchlorate.
Perchlorate.
Chlorates. Yeah.
That was in which well?
That was
Mount-
the Mount Warner.
Hmm.
As far as I know, it was never traced to a source, although that happens to be a chemical used in fireworks.
Yes.
And it is adjacent to the UMass. It's relatively near the UMass Stadium where the fireworks shows.
Or the old North Hadley fireworks.
Well, the other thing it could be, and nobody is alive to investigate this one, those wells were put in the 50s. It goes through ledge.
You're
Yeah.
right, Jimmy. I know.
Did they have to dynamite through the ledge?
Absolutely.
Did they have to dynamite through the ledge to get to the water? If they did, guess what dynamite contains?
Yeah.
More perchlorates than fireworks, and in a much higher concentration.
Yeah.
We have no knowledge of how it was done. If we had water, a sample of water that dated back 65 years, that would be great. But we don't. So is it farming chemicals? Is it fireworks? Is it what I just said? Is it something else? But the fact is, it's clearing up and the water is now at a point where it passes of, I don't know what the right word is. I don't say regulation, but it passes the test to be good water. And they're
So-
working on
EPA.
because it's going to need a filter because of other things to put that well back online.
And the other part, Jim, is the fact that the state made a calculation. They said 1 part per billion was the threshold that we exceeded. It was really supposed to be 1 part per million. So somebody put the decimal point in the wrong place with a comma. Yes.
Well, that's quite a difference. 1 part per million is about equal to a drop of oil in a home-sized swimming pool. A part per billion is 1 drop of oil in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That's how somebody explained it to me once upon a time for comparison.
Okay. That's good way of telling you.
Anyway, well, put something together, Bill, and probably send it around for a quick review by everybody, and then we can get it off to town council.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she wanted it by mid-July because she wants her decision out for her. I think AGO's decision is due mid-late
Yes,
August.
the Attorney General's supposed to decide within 90 days, so we don't want to even wait that long, but let's get it in back into June.
Well,
Yeah.
you don't have to wait for our authorization. Just send it in as we've directed. That way you won't be up against any timetable.
Yeah, maybe I'll just send it to you, Jim, so we don't.
Correct.
And then I'll put it on the agenda so everyone can take a look at it at the next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good.
Did I send you that? Did you have a copy of the letter? Okay. Well, we'll, I think what I have to do is restart my computer to get Outlook working again. So, I'm happy to do it, but that would also kill the meeting. So I'll do it on my own time.
Mr. Dwyer, with your legal hat on, I have a question. If the four of us sent you, directly our thoughts and comments on that response, and you collected them, but we never had any discussion or saw each other's, would that violate open meeting law? Because it's not really, it's not discussion. We're just giving you're just collecting our thoughts.
If you send it only, if each of them only send it to Bill and nobody
Yeah.
else,
Right.
Yeah.
no copy anybody else.
Each of you are only dealing with one other member of the board.
Yes.
So yes, I think that is appropriate.
Yeah. Kyla, is your address conservation@hadley.gov?
Conservation@hadleyma.gov.
Yeah, Hadley MA, right. Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think it's Kayla, not Kyla.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's an A after the K.
Okay, I just sent you the ZP correspondence, the bill that we received. So you should have it.
It's good.
It'll come to you shortly. Okay.
So just to close an open loop here, we did have Pioneer Valley Planning Commission on the agenda as well. Partly to get the invoice and partly to have a ongoing discussion with Kyle, but because these meetings have been running long, we've put Kyle off to the second July meeting. He's not available July 2nd, but he will be I guess it's the 17th. Anyway, so Kyle will be here at the second July meeting.
What meeting do we want to reserve for PVPC, Bill? First or second meeting?
I would like to do the first of the month, but I'd like to just check with Kyle to be sure of his availability.
Okay, all right.
So we can, I probably even email that. So what we had done in the past is try to work just with PVPC at one of our meetings and not we'd have our usual walk-ins, but we wouldn't get bogged down in public hearings on the nights we had PVPC and vice versa. And I would really like to get back to that because I think
agree. That's what I want to find. I'll try to find out from Kyle which meeting he prefers, and I'll simply write out the rest of the year reserved for him. So, because by the time we get to him, like you said, it's sometimes late, and we gotta. Not 100%.
And then he said he stays at the office.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, because he has better computer equipment there.
Oh, that's really
so. Yeah, trying to make it easier on all of us because.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it would be 2 nights in a row because he comes out here. He comes to our smart growth hybrid meetings, and we were trying to do those the Monday before planning board.
Okay, so you do the Monday before planning board. Yeah. That's kind of
that
unfair.
First or third.
We were doing both.
Oh, okay.
We were doing two a month to stay on track with the workload.
Oh, good. Okay. So that I don't feel sorry about. I don't feel sorry for him about that because that is, he's here as a contractor.
We're the planning board, not the sympathy board.
Well, we could be realistic about it, but it's just another day at the office for him. So I think that I don't see that as an issue. unless he tells us it is. Then we'll take it up.
Okay.
If I could just, well, I think we touched a little earlier on the smart growth. Kayla, do you know if we're going to expect anyone from the Conservation Commission? Because they have not attended either of the last two meetings.
Reached out to Brandon again, about attending yesterday's, but I didn't hear back from him, so it seems to me like it's a no.
Okay,
But I mean, I will be at most of them, so I can definitely provide some conservation input, even if I'm not on the committee.
sure, yep, okay.
We could just go back to the appointment letter. I'd like to also recommend to the select board that Mark Dunn be appointed as the alternate to the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
Which I have been, but
Yeah, I thought you were, okay.
I haven't been in like, I don't think I've been to one in a year and a half because Bill's so dutiful.
But Lisa, Bill,
Yes,
I make.
I've been attending. So the principal appointment is from the planning board to the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. The alternate is by the select board. So I just want to recommend.
Okay.
I don't think we have to reopen our vote. We voted what we voted, but
Yeah.
I just wanted in my letter to recommend Mark as the alternate.
To,
They are working through their appointments, renewing their appointments now too. I would congratulate Mark on his resounding turnout, but the town clerk hasn't posted the election results yet, as far as I know.
I think I only saw the contested results.
That's all I saw too.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming we're all taking on faith that you actually were reelected and
I assume I was.
sworn in.
I
Well, you
was
only need enough
concerned.
votes to be reelected.
I was concerned Tommy was going to run stealth against me.
Dee Dee. Anything else?
Did you receive the membership update form from Jennifer?
Membership.
It's just to update who's on the committee, position, terms, and contact information. If you didn't already submit it, I can fill it out and submit it. Just let me know
Oh, that was the second.
exact information
Right.
you want me to put.
Didn't she send two forms? One was a committee application and one was the committee constitution or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
I
one was the
don't think-
reappointment form and one was the membership update form.
Okay, we did not get that since we're a separately elected board.
Okay.
So the select board does not appoint us.
Yeah, I think there was another form though that's just for all town boards to put the members in terms. So I can fill it out and then send it over to you
Membership
for
update
approval.
form, is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, yeah, I received that on 6/5. Okay, I didn't even look at it.
Did I see something on the agenda that there's any progress updating our website so that people can see, who's on and whose terms are up when and all that? Information we used to have and then somehow it went away.
Yeah, I had left the update the website, update the web pages as it's a placeholder item, so we can talk about it if we want to. I think this is one that if you have ideas of what should be there, probably just send them directly to Kayla.
You want it by June 20th. Okay, so I'll fill that out and get back to her. And
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
You gotta come over, Zeke.
I would second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Mark Dunn, aye.
Aye.
Night.
Meeting is history. Thank you. Thank you, Kayla. And thank you, Tom and Dee Dee. Thank you,
Thank
Alex.
you, Alex.